You don't have to have it all figured out. Just move forward, fail forward. I promise if you don't quit, this will work out for you.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Passionate Few podcast today. It's your host, Omar here, and today we have a very special story as we get to sit down with none other than Mexican immigrant Carlos Reyes, a man who came to this country as a young kid twice through crazy circumstances, which you'll hear in this interview, but also how he came from such humble beginnings, having barely anything growing up in Mexico, to becoming a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur into the 8 figures, running over 24 companies, and now starting the All-In movement, where he's helped coach thousands of entrepreneurs all around the country about how they can invest in real estate and how they can take control of their financial destiny through the vehicle of wholesaling real estate and so much more. So I promise you will be inspired to no end by this incredible story about a man who married his high school sweetheart, made his dreams a reality, and is now helping you guys do the exact same thing. Carlos Reyes.
Going back to real estate, right, wholesaling, what advice do you have for people who are maybe struggling to get their first deal? Because reality is a lot of people may be listening to this, and no matter where they live in the country or the world or whatever, there's opportunities in real estate everywhere. So talk to me on what advice would you give for people who are just starting in the business or maybe want to get into wholesaling real estate? Obviously, getting mentorship and learning from people who've done it is crucial. But talk to me about the struggle, because I'm sure you've seen it, right? You've helped thousands of people at this stage, I'm sure. What advice would you give to people who are struggling to get their first deal or kind of get some success or find momentum in it when it feels like the walls might be kind of caving in on them?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into play. One is people have to make the decision of wanting something different, wanting something more for their lives, right? That's like number one. And I believe that everybody in this room at one point has made that decision or will make that decision.
Yeah.
So you got to make a decision, right? Once you make that decision, you have to commit. You have to be committed. Commitment, like we were discussing earlier, it's not a motivational thing. Commitment is, I'm going to do this no matter what. That's commitment, right? It's like a promise you make to yourself, right? The other thing that you gotta make the necessary sacrifices. Everybody wants the glory, but nobody wants, the struggle, right? Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but nobody wants to grind. Nobody wants to hustle. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to no one wants people to say, no, get out of my face, People aren't willing to make the sacrifices. They're not willing. Yeah, I want to be a millionaire, but I don't want to sacrifice time with my friends. I want to be a millionaire, but I don't want to sacrifice my hobbies. I want to be a millionaire, but I don't want to sacrifice that great show I have going on Netflix. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't want to make those sacrifices, right? So vision, commitment, sacrifice, work ethic. Brother, I know for a fact that you've interviewed hundreds of very successful people. Name one that didn't have work ethic.
Oh yeah, every single one. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
unreasonable work ethic.
Unreasonable work ethic.
To where they had every justified reason to stop and still proceeded.
There you go.
Yeah.
Work ethic. And the last thing is one of the most important things is perseverance. Don't quit. Don't quit, right? Do not quit. How many people do you know, not the successful ones that you've interviewed, right? And the ones that have made it to your show. Yeah. But how many people have you known in your life that quit? They quit
most, yeah.
Well, according to statistics, 97%, right? Right. So 97% of people quit. They quit. And it's almost like that book, 3 Feet from Gold, right? Sometimes they quit right when they're about to get that deal, right when they're about to score that big payday, right? They quit. So that's another thing. And a couple of things that I want people to know out there is analysis paralysis. That's a huge thing. People spend so much time analyzing, right, all the content and watching your podcast and watching Gary Vee's and all these other, all this content they're consuming, and they just become paralyzed. Right. They don't take enough action, and that's one thing that's one thing that I believe in is take massive action. What I did was, my moves were like rough draft moves. I didn't have an LLC. I didn't know how to count properties. I didn't know how to talk to sellers. I didn't even know how to open up escrow with the title agency. I didn't know these things, but I was just so committed to this that I just made rough draft moves. So that's one thing that I want people out there. Hey, you don't have to have it all figured out. Just move forward, fail forward. I promise if you don't quit, this will work out for you. So that's some advice that I want to give people out there.
Imperfect action. Take more imperfect action.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then at what point do you feel like you kind of hit a momentum with it to where you're like, okay, I get this stuff. I want to start teaching it. What was the transition? Did somebody come to you and say, show me how to do that, or they saw the check?
No, I know. I have the first time. By the way, first time somebody ever asks me that.
Yeah.
But I know exactly when this happened. It was the year 2018. So I'll tell you how it happened. All right. So the way that I've made, one of my mentees asked me, because a lot of my mentees are now coaches across the country.
Right.
And a gentleman out of San Antonio asked me, hey man, I really want to explode. I would really want to grow my brand the way you've grown your brand in this industry, in real estate community. How did you do it? And I was like, I actually paused for like a minute or two, and I'm like, man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's not all the money I made. It's not all the houses that I flipped. I said, it's all the people that I've been able to help build seven-figure operations across the country. That's how I made a name for myself in this industry. So if it wasn't for education, I don't think I would have the name. Because there's a bunch of people out there that flip a bunch of houses.
Right.
But there's not a bunch of people out there that help other people create seven-figure companies, right? That's kind of how I made my name, thank God. So back to the education question. I went to an event in San Francisco, California. It was called Seven Figure Flippers. I went there. I paid $3,000 to be there. And it was a roundtable mastermind. And I'm hearing all these people and what they're doing. And I'm like, holy smokes. At this point, I've already spent a few $1 million in just marketing, right?
Yeah. I'm
like, wow, I do way more marketing than these folks. I flip way more houses than these people. And at this point, I'm already flipping. I'm wholesaling nationally.
And how many properties are you flipping a year at that stage?
Anywhere between probably 300 to 400 properties wholesale. It wasn't even. I didn't launch my full like fix and flip operation till March of 2020. And that right there, when I added that department to my organization, I mean, I'm telling you, it's a whole different ballgame. Once you add fixing and flipping, right? I was taking all that capital. I was making like what's that old saying? Hand over fist, right?
Yeah.
Hand over fist, right?
Yeah, making money hand
wholesaling. I was making wholesale money hand over fist, and that's how I was able to actually either buy other companies in other sectors, right? Other industries, or create or build other companies with all the money that I was making. I'm like, well, I guess I got all this money. What do I do? You know what? Let me start creating all these other companies or buying all these other companies, right? Bought a solar company, bought a medical company. I bought all these other companies with the liquid I was getting. I bought this building.
How much did you know about those companies when you bought them?
I strategically partnered up in those companies. So what I did was, with the digital marketing agency, I grabbed the guy that worked 10 years in Google, one of the top consultants. Hey, you want to be my partner? I got the capital, right? I got the capital, and I got the capital. I got the influence. We'll get, that company already makes 7 figures a year.
Right.
Same thing with the solar company.
So you vertically integrated everything you want to do, but you started with the order of generating cash flow, capital with that, and then that opened up other doors to hire the best, literally. So you don't waste time with B players.
Yes. So when I went to that 7-figure flipper mastermind, I came back with a really sour taste in my mouth. I'm like, wait, I just paid $3,000, and I was like the biggest dog there, right? I'm like the biggest dog there. So I'm like, why don't I throw my own event? Like, what's stopping me from okay, boom, momentum. I throw it June of 2018. I charge $5,000 per seat. I'm like, I spent millions of dollars on R&D, right? Research and development. I've spent millions of dollars on figuring all this out, from personnel to systems to processes to marketing. I'm going to throw this event and charge $5,000 per seat. We sold 82 seats at $5,000.
Did you run ads to it, or did you do it off?
Organic.
All organic.
All organic. Instagram.
Yeah.
All Instagram.
Wow.
Not even Facebook.
How important has Instagram growth been to your business?
Instagram has definitely made me millions and millions and millions of dollars for sure. Just being on Instagram. And now you have to remember though, if you go into my Instagram profile, I've been dropping Instagram content since 2013. But nobody gives a Can I curse?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody gives a shit about the content you're dropping until you're successful.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like nobody gave a crap of anything that I had to say until I started pulling up in Rolls Royces and like
showing checks or whatever.
That's that. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll pay some attention to what this guy has. You see, isn't that crazy the way that works, right?
Yeah.
Nobody cares about you until you're successful, right?
Yeah.
So
Muhammad Ali said that. He said some of the greatest churches are in some of the poorest cities in the world. But unless it's big and grandiose, people
or in the right neighborhood, or with the right, the right tithers, right? So, but anyway, so I went back through my first event. It was incredible. We did really good. And I don't forget the fact that we did, a couple 100,000 like on the front end. All these people were some of the top investors in the country. They're like, oh my God, we're blown away, right? So then I throw another event. September of 2018, same thing, right? Then finally in 2019, I'm like, I'm not even offering mentorship because I'm only doing 2 events a year at this point. Right. I'm just like, I'm doing this just to like make a little bit of money and literally teach a bunch of people like high level, real estate education. Right. So then boom, 2019 comes around. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm offering mentorship at this point, and that gets crazy. Like that gets really crazy. So I started educating and helping people build their 7-figure companies. And by the way, for people out there, I didn't start doing all these things until my real estate operation was completely automated and delegated. That's very important for people out there. Do not start a lot of people out there these days, they're educating without, right? They take a picture in front of a Lambo that they rented or something, and then they're like, oh, I'm an educator now, I'm an influencer, right? Not me. I'm a brick and mortar kind of guy. And I didn't start educating until I can actually, I had the proof of concept, right? Which is this, right? It's like, until I automated, delegated, hired and trained and developed leaders into my organization, then I had the capacity, time and energy to go and help other companies, other people build 7-figure businesses. So that's very important.
Awesome, man. And where can people find out more information if they want to get in touch with you and find out more information about that?
Carlos Reyes on Instagram. I'm the one thing about me is that I'm never going to be one of those individuals that gets too big, as far as like, because my upbringings, I'm from humble beginnings.
Right.
So anybody that ever reaches out to me, I always try to get back to them. I never want to be that guy that, that douchebag.
Too cool for school.
Too cool for school. Not me. Never. I honestly believe that God will take a lot away from me when I become that, if I ever become that guy. But the way that things are going now, it's like I'm actually headed in the other direction. I'm scaling and, successfully becoming very successful to the point where, God willing, I believe in the next 24 months, we're already an 8-figure conglomerate. I believe that in the next 24 months, we'll be a 9-figure conglomerate with other companies that we have launching here in the next 60 to 90 days. We're into the SaaS industry now, software as a service. Again, we've made so much money from real estate that we're building out softwares now, so that's very helpful. But I never want to be that guy that never gets back to people. I'm always going to be grounded. So you can reach me, Carlos Reyes. I'm one of the few Mexicans out there that has like a little blue check mark, right? Haven't seen too many of them, but thank God I'm one of those guys out there, Carlos Reyes. I will always get back to people.
Very cool, man.